the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome aboard. As always, we're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. This show is brought to you by DraftKings every single Friday at this time throughout the football season. Adam Chernoff has joined the show, and that continues here today. His podcast, it goes away a little bit during the football. It's not a daily thing anymore, but he'll still be doing it. It's called The Simple Handicap throughout the playoffs. Also, he does a lot of content for Right Angle Sports and their app that you can get on your phone as well. Good morning, Adam. How are you today?
I'm doing well. We made it to the playoffs, so it's a bit of a mental reset, so to speak. So we're into it. There's a lot to talk about this week. This will be a good couple minutes here.
Yeah, with that reset in mind, are you just happy to get here at this point and the week 17, week 18, tough to figure out, navigate through is finally over with?
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit older. We added on a couple extra preseason weeks this year with the job change and working with the guys. And so really football for me this year started mid-July, late July, which is earlier than it ever has. And so by the time we got to Christmas, was feeling a little bit winded. Not going to lie about that. So the last 2 weeks were a grind and a little bit tricky to get to, but we have the playoffs now, and happy to be here, to say the least, and see 6 games on the card instead of another 16.
Yep. Let's get to all of them then. We'll begin with the early game tomorrow. Browns are a short 2-point favorite on the road against Houston. Total is 44.5. We've kicked this around a couple of times today on the show so far. Everybody knows at this point the splits here with the Browns defense, right? On the road compared to at home. At home, they're amazing. On the road, not so much. Their games have averaged more than 53 points per game on the road. They're 8-0 to the over. Just a simple thing like the sacks, right? 32 sacks at home, 17 on the road. Like, why is that? Are you buying into like how bad they've been defensively? What does it mean to you overall on the road?
So it's a little bit phony. And it's a little bit noisy. And I was asked during a live stream this week what to make of it. And it's hard. The question was, it's hard to ignore. And my response was, do you want to look at a couple of plays, or do you want to look at the full body of work over the course of the season? And let's put this all into context, Mitch. So points per game, like you mentioned, first at home, 31st on the road. Yards per play, first at home, 23rd on the road. A lot of these counting stats, yardage stats, they look really, really bad when you put it in the context of home versus away. Where it gets interesting is you look at some of the luck metric. In terms of fumbles per game, Cleveland bottom 5 on the road, above average at home. In terms of interceptions, dead last in interceptions per game on the road. And where this gets really interesting is, while these yardage outputs on the road look really, really bad for Cleveland, the Browns have given up 5 65-yard plus touchdowns against on the road this season. They've also had a couple other plays went for 50-plus yards but didn't score. And so when you look at an EPA perspective, Cleveland, again, number 1 at home, but below average on the road. Where I kind of push back on this is when you look down to down in terms of positive play rate against, which references any play that's run against the Browns defense, did it have a positive EPA on that play? The Browns, best in the league at home, best in the league on the road. And so what this all means is the Browns have been really unfortunate with turnovers on the road compared to home. They've given up some really big, inopportune plays that went for explosives on the road, where at home they've been fantastic against it. But when we look down to down, every single down, home and away, on that basis, the Cleveland Browns are the best at home and best on the road. Now, we're talking about a 1-game sample here. A lot can happen, but I look at those splits as being a little bit overblown, because this defense down to down has been just as good on the road as they have been at home. There's just been some really unlucky things that have happened when they've gone on the road. So that's how I would look at that talking point specifically.
Okay. Now, we didn't have Stroud in the first matchup. We talked about how they can play with house money here. Certainly no one expected this. And what do you expect out of the defense, which there was some good and bad? And how concerned are you with what happened Saturday where Taylor ran all over him?
Houston's been top 5 against the run for the majority of the season. So that Taylor performance was very unexpected for how big it turned into. So I think that was a little bit concerning for Houston. But when we're talking about Stroud, so another big talking point this week, quarterbacks making their debut in the playoffs. That's a 38% ATS rate dating back to 2002. It's a classic underperformed spot. And I think you can apply that to a first-time play caller here with Bobby Slowick and a first-time head coach in D'Amico Ryans. This is a very inexperienced Houston coaching staff and quarterback going into the playoffs. But it all comes down to this defense, guys. When we think about Houston, how did they get into the playoffs with these wins down the stretch? It was against Cincinnati. The Bengals finished 28th in defensive rating for the season. It was against Arizona, another win. Cardinals, 32nd. It was against Denver, 23rd. Tennessee, twice. The Titans finished 27th. The Colts finished 20th. So this Houston Texans offense has taken advantage of some very bad defenses down the stretch. And again, this is why this game is so interesting. You get the Browns, there's all these talking points, way worse on the road. Like, I get it. The counting stats show that. If you get a Cleveland Browns defense that underperforms, you can say that they're in that category of all these teams we just listed. But if you get a Browns defense that plays like they have down to down, or they play closer to those counting stats like they have at home, this is a massive step up in class for the Texans against this Browns defense, who total defense for the season, number 1. And so how is this inexperienced Houston unit going to handle that step up and challenge? My initial instinct with this game was Cleveland as the side, especially at like minus 135 on the money line, which is still available. My concern is, like you mentioned, the first game that closed 3.5 against Davis Mills and Case Keenum. CJ Stroud's a massive upgrade over those two quarterbacks. And so I can't help but think that we're talking about the inexperience. We're talking about the home road splits. This number for Cleveland feels a little bit big, and a lot of that's kind of being accounted for. So I'm kind of torn back and forth with that. But to me, I'm looking at this. I'd much prefer to back the experienced unit, where you're getting some of that noise, where you have that defense that's maybe being viewed as being a little bit overrated. I don't necessarily think that that is the case. I think Houston and their wins down the stretch is actually what's most overrated within this matchup. Okay. So I would look to Cleveland here on the money line.
Very good. I think experience is big as well. All excellent points. Follow the money. Pauly and Mitch Vison, the Sports Betting Network. Adam Chernoff, our guest. Follow him on X and the Simple Handicap podcast. This could be historic Saturday night. It could be the third coldest game in NFL history. You have that. You have Miami against a good team. You have Miami on the road. You also have a plethora of injuries with Miami. Chiefs up to 4.5. What do you think?
Yeah, with the Chiefs move, it's hard to get to Kansas City at this price. I'll be curious to see if the cold weather and the injuries now and tomorrow morning and afternoon push this number up a little bit higher, and maybe the Dolphins become interesting if this were to happen to approach 6. But I think the main talking point and the fun thing to discuss here is going to be the total. So let's talk about the weather first and foremost. This is becoming kind of a little bit unprecedented, where we're looking at possibly the third coldest temperature at kickoff in NFL history. And so you kind of get off the charts for what you can look at as a reference point. But if we just wanted to compare to some data, games since 1994, which were 10 degrees or colder, average 43 points, 20 degrees or colder, average 42.5 points. And so cold weather on its own doesn't directly have an impact on scoring. It reduces offensive output between 5 to 10%. It's not a massive drop-off just because it's cold. Now, the problem with this game in Kansas City is there's this threatening chance of wind that's existed basically since open on Sunday night. That's becoming a little bit hard to handle. Same thing happens for the Sunday morning game. I look at this, though, and I think there's a couple clear paths for both offenses to have success. First of all, with Kansas City, the big issue for the Chiefs is that both of their tackles, left tackle, right tackle, have injury issues. They've been swapping offensive line combinations the last 5 to 6 weeks. That looks to be sorted out, but that issue they've had is also going to be negated a little bit by the outside rushers for Miami all being injured. They're signing guys off the street. I don't think Kansas City is going to be stressed at the tackle position like they have the last 5 to 6 weeks. You also have the week of rest to sort things out and get right. I think that matters a lot for a guy like Travis Kelce. I think it matters a lot just for the offenses as a whole to get right. And we always hear every week about the Andy Reid, every bye week, about the Andy Reid bye week scenario and how important that is. You effectively get that in this game, which I think matters a lot too. And so I think the Chiefs offense behind tackle play that'll be stable without having to deal with pass rush, being able to target the middle of the field while the Dolphins have these injuries, bodes really well for Kansas City. on the other side, the biggest weakness for the Chiefs all season has been defending the run.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw in the second half of the Germany game when these two teams played, Miami really got the run going. And the Dolphins had the run game consistently against the Bills defense last week. Second half, it turned off because the game got a little bit weird. But I think the Dolphins are going to be able to run on the Chiefs. Mostert looks like he's going to be back. Waddle looks like he's going to be good to go. So I think Miami can run it on Kansas City, which plays in very well to the cold weather that we're seeing forecasted, especially if the wind comes up. And so this total right now is 43.5. I would look at this relative to the game we just talked about, Cleveland-Houston, which is 44.5, that if we're not getting the wind, guys, I know it's going to be cold. That's out there. The market knows it. These numbers come down. I think you can only look to the over at this point at 43.5, just with how these two offenses match up against the other defenses on the other side. So it's a tough one that might be hard to get to. One prop I'll throw out there, Mecole Hardman, receiving yards over 14.5. Anytime touchdown, 7-1.
Ooh.
If you want to get a little crazy, first touchdown, 35-1 as well. But I think Hardman off of the bye, he had a big game last week, gets more integrated off the injury and makes a difference for KC.
20 seconds here before we bring you back for another segment. Level of confidence in Tua making a throw if he has to.
Not exceptionally high based on his history, but I think they'll be all right moving the football.
Yeah. He was terrible last week against Buffalo. He was so bad, I thought, watching that game. We'll continue with Adam Chernoff up next here on VSiN. What are his thoughts on the other game here that we have coming up with bad weather, a total of 35? Welcome back. We continue here on the program, a Football Friday. Adam Chernoff on the show. His podcast is called The Simple Handicap. There's a lot of free content as well for the Right Angle Sports app. Get the app for your phone today. It's a good one. And Adam's thoughts on the NFL for years have been just money. Also, he's on X at Adam Chernoff. Another game here with potential weather that is going to... the thought was they could actually move the game to Cleveland yesterday. And at this point, it's like, knock it off already with this stuff. That's not going to happen. But the one offshore book opened up the total here, 44.5. It's down to 35.5. And the number now, it has been here for a while, Buffalo is 10, basically at most spots. Overall, your thoughts between here, the Bills and the Steelers?
I saw Pauly post-segment just now shaking his head. How do we only get in 2 games? Pauly, I did a live stream on the RAS channel. It went for 2 hours. And so when I get rolling downhill here with football, as you well know, the thoughts fly in a hurry. Mitch, in terms of this game, this is a quick one. We can get past this pretty quickly. We got the internal weather report in our team chat just now. 99% snow, 1.5 inches in an hour, 26 to 28 mile per hour winds with gusts up to 44 miles per hour. So the way that this game is trending, which has been back and forth all week, is starting to very closely reflect the Pats-Bills game. You guys remember that one in prime time, how ugly that one was. So you're going to look at a number of live betting opportunities with unders and drives to end and punts and all sorts of fun stuff with this one. But here's what I'll say. I'm surprised this number for the Steelers hasn't come in a little bit. We've seen the total drop 8 points, and we're still seeing the point spread hold. And so I would have to think Steelers money comes in as this forecast worsens. Because it's just going to be such a tight game where you can't move the ball.
And they've been horrible without Watt, but it's negated. 1-10 straight up, allowing 26 a game, by the way. But it's negated because you can't throw the ball. And who knows, maybe the gusts get up to 60 miles per hour. So I'm with you. You got to take the points here.
Yep. If it's 30 mile per hour winds, nobody's throwing the football.
Okay. The middle game. I think you mentioned experience in the last segment. I think this is big. CeeDee Lamb talked about it. Green Bay has the youngest roster in the NFL. Maybe Quinn puts some pressure on Love and he can't handle it. Dallas has been a freight train at home, 16 in a row at home, and averaging this year 37 a game at home. Lamb should cook. Dak should have a big game. What do you think, Dallas? But Packers, it's only 7. Mitch is shocked by this too. Dallas 7, 50.5.
I wanted Dallas. I cannot trust McCarthy in this spot. Not only has he got bailed out by every late game decision that he has mismanaged the last month and a half, he now has this added pressure of going against his old team and the franchise he led to the title and how much this means to him. But also the fact, you guys touched on it in the earlier portion of the show, I really think I'm with you, Pauly. This is probably for his job. If he ends up losing this one at home, I think he might be out. And so to me, you have the Cowboys in this spot with the head coach that has a history of tightening up in what might be the biggest tightening up spot that we've seen for a head coach in a long time in the playoffs, against the Packers team that is coming in with nothing to lose. You have Jordan Love, who's trending well to end the season. And what interests me is I think about the big game spots for the Packers this year. The Kansas City game on Sunday night, they came out firing the football. The Detroit game on Thanksgiving, they came out firing the football. Now, the one hesitation that I would have if you're looking at taking the Packers, Joe Barry and this defense, in terms of who they have faced down the stretch, they finished 27th in defensive EPA per play the last 5 weeks. That was Justin Fields with the offensive coordinator that just got fired. It was Jaron Hall and Nick Mullins, who had a big game. It was Bryce Young, who had his best game of the season. Baker Mayfield with the perfect passer rating. Tommy DeVito, I don't know if he's a quarterback officially anymore, what his deal is. That's who they faced, and they were 5th worst. And so it's like, will Devondre Campbell being back sure up things against the middle, where all these bad numbers for the Packers against slants and throws between the numbers, will that be cleared up a little bit? Will Alexander travel with Lamb? All questions, we'll see. But certainly some issues here along with the inexperience you can see for the Packers. So a tough game here. And I just start to wonder if the over might be the best look in this spot. I'm not sure.
That's where I was going to go next as a follow-up. It's 51, key number. Game can land 27-24. It's 50.5 right now. I mean, based on the state of the Green Bay defense, but also Jordan Love's play down the stretch here, it seems a tad short to me.
Again, it does. And I feel like if this was a regular season game, like if this game was played week 15, Christmas, it's like, okay, you're looking at that as an easy. But now, again, you have that McCarthy tightening up spot late in games. You have the Packers, who from a pace perspective on the slower side, and maybe that inexperience tightens up, and you have a super high total where you need things to go right. That's what would worry me with the total too. So what I will say, guys, prop wise, Tony Pollard's at 60.5 yards. The way Green Bay defends the run, that's short at 60.5. So I'd look to the over with Pollard at 60.5 as a prop look.
All right, follow the money, Pauly and Mitch Visa in the Sports Betting Network. Adam Chernoff. Follow him on Twitter and X, Simple Handicap Podcast. The late game should be bananas. Since Week 10, the Rams are averaging 30 a game. Detroit averages 30 a game at home. And you're talking about 27 and 31st in pass defense. I mean, I know you look at everything as well. We talked about this earlier. The Rams have the worst special teams in the league. I can't believe they brought Maher back. They bring him back. He misses an extra point. And we know what happened last year in the playoffs with Maher. Take it away.
Yeah, imagine if he misses a kick early, how much
kidding.
Oh man, Twitter's going to be fun to watch. Both sides here are interesting to talk about. I'd say perhaps no team benefits from that last week rest more in this first round of the playoffs than the Rams do. Stafford been banged up with something all year. You got Cooper Kupp, who is complaining about playing on turf for back-to-back weeks and what that did to his rehab. He gets a week off. You have Kyron Williams, who's just been getting a ton of usage. He gets to come in with fresh legs. And so you look at this Lions defense, incredibly or somewhat overrated down the stretch, but overrated as a whole for the season, facing off against this Rams offense. You kind of see a path to where the Rams could definitely have offensive success. I don't know if the Rams will be able to sustain much on the ground, but certainly throwing the football, and certainly if the Rams are playing from a little bit behind, you're going to see LA move the football in this game, definitely. My big question here is, will LA be able to get a lead early and dictate what the Lions are going to do on offense? And why I say that's so important is if Detroit gets in a spot where they could run the football and rely on this offensive line, they're going to have no issues with Montgomery and Gibbs moving the football. I think if Detroit gets a lead, it's going to be very hard for the Rams to get stops. If Detroit has to play from behind and you get Jared Goff throwing against the too high shell look, which the Rams run more than any other defense in the league at 71%, you're getting Goff out of 16 qualifying quarterbacks that have attempted more than 50 passes against the too deep shell look. You're getting Jared Goff, who ranks 14th or worst. That's worst, second worst, or third worst in those categories league-wide this season in 7 different key categories. It's a brutal defensive matchup for the Lions throw game if the Rams get a lead. That's why I think it's going to be so important. But for me, I'm looking at this now down to 3 guys. You get the home crowd. You get a big run game advantage up front. You get the offensive line. Everyone loves the Rams here. As the week goes on and this number continues to come in, I start to kind of look at the Lions here in a game that I think it could very well reflect how that Broncos game kind of played out when the Lions got that ground game going and just they couldn't be stopped. And so that would be a worry for me if you're a Rams backer, kind of like the Lions here as the week goes on, laying 3.
Yeah.
All right.
Great breakdown.
Awesome, man.
But by the way, you talk to, you're in circles of, and you track all this stuff in terms of respected money, sharp bettors. Do they have a preference in this game that you know of?
So at 3.5, it was all Rams. At 3, the conversation is changing for sure as there's interest in the Lions. But earlier, we saw some opens even at 4 at a couple places, and there was interest in the Rams. But now it's really shifting to Lions late in the week.
It's going back, yeah. Okay. Follow him on X again, at Adam Chernoff. Great stuff as always, my man. Thanks so much. Enjoy the games this weekend.
Thanks very much, guys. Enjoy wildcard weekend.
Yep,
all right, you too.
Be good.
All right, we got more news. Kalen DeBoer was supposed to be in studio in Seattle with radio station KJR. He just canceled.
They phrased it as if he's working on an extension with the Huskies.
Well, yeah.
Who knows?
Well, that was from the radio station.
That's how they phrased it, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it was sent from UW PR, though. There could be a lot of things going on. Probably an offer came in. There was respected people that said Alabama wants DeBoer and the backup plan is Norvell. Who knows? McMurphy said take Norvell 10-1 yesterday.
Right.
Good job by Lanning to stay at Oregon. And but maybe Alabama made an offer and now he's coming back and leveraging that and asking Washington, what are you going to do for me? Well, there's a lot going on. But this is big that he was supposed to be in studio at 9 in the morning. He just canceled.
Current odds right now, globally speaking, DeBoer minus 125, next head coach Alabama. Dabo Swinney is all the way down to plus 125. Norvell's plus 325.
What?
Yeah, Tommy Reese is 6-1.
Oh my God!
If they land on Swinney or Tommy Reese, they're going to burn things in Alabama.
Oh, absolutely. They're gonna poison trees, and that was from a cop who did that.
Each other's trees, they will.
Yeah.
They won't care.
They definitely will die.
Last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Hello, the gift that keeps on giving, the Winnipeg Jets. They win again, 2-1. They allowed 1 goal, obviously. That's 31 games in a row where the opponent has been held on to 3 goals or fewer. That's 19 games in a row. Their opponent has gone under their team total in regulation. 18-1 if you want to count the team total under, period. Montreal got the over because it went to overtime. They've also won 8 in a row. This is real and spectacular. What a story with the Winnipeg Jets.
Is it good enough for you to get down on any futures?
I missed it. No, not at this price now.
Yeah.
I mean, between the 50-1 to win the conference, now you're seeing like 20-1 to win the cup. Lower than that now. So I think those numbers have disappeared. But a great story. And Florida's won 9 in a row. The Oilers have won 9 in a row. Seattle has won 8 in a row. The LA Kings have lost 7 in a row. A lot of streaks, a lot of stuff going on in the NHL. Nebraska, Omaha, North Dakota under 146.5 down to 142. That was a winner. Santa Clara gets it done. 3-1 on the money line. Their first win over Gonzaga since 2011. They had lost 26 in a row to Gonzaga. And they get it done. Good for them.
Yikes. Steve Nash was in the building last night. First time that he returned to his alma mater in a long time.
Yeah.
And they got the job done for the guy.
Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com, our radio and podcast friends. You must see these tweets and videos. They are awesome. You can always check a lot of stuff out at Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram or subscribe and see everything. Mitch is a great person. He has 2 rescue dogs. I retweeted this the other day. It got 30,000 views. Look at the Mastiff as he's in the shelter. The owner, he's curled up. He's crying,
frightened out of his mind.
Good point. Nervous. Doesn't want to be touched. Here's a. What does it say? A year later.
That one's today.
Yep. And now you see how he is now, and doing the circles and all happy. I mean, the look on his face it's so emotional to see what happens. And I was not aware of this with the 3-3-3 rule.
Now explain this to me.
When you adopt a dog from the shelter, 3 days they're overwhelmed and nervous. It takes 3 weeks to get acclimated and settle in with the new owner in your home. It takes 3 months to build trust and bond with you and to know your schedule. So when you see stuff like the reasons that these people give up dogs, and then it's like, well, I adopted it, but I gave it a week and it didn't work out, so I took it back. Are you nuts? This is not a toy. I mean, you have to understand what's going on here, and that you have to bond in what this animal is going through because the owner decided to turn their back on it and give it up. And you go back to what happened during COVID.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, it's just, people are the worst.
This is not a short-term commitment.
Absolutely.
And if you don't realize that going in, I mean, I'm sorry, but there should be some way to get the person to commit to something, right? When they make the agreement, take the dog home, and then a week later, a month later, whatever, I'm sorry, it's not for me. Too bad. Too bad. You're the parent now, pal.
That's right.
You signed up for it. You're not going to get it. You can't do this.
Take it back. Yeah. He didn't play well. He didn't play with the kids.
Oh, you're scared of the fireworks.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's infuriating. And the other thing was Game of Thrones. When Game of Thrones was at its peak in popularity, people wanted a husky or something that looked like a dire wolf.
Oh yeah.
Like the dogs that Jon Snow had. And it's like, oh wow, huskies are tough to deal with. Okay, I'm going to give it up.
Yeah. Oh, this guy got way bigger than I thought.
Yeah, that too. Out of control. All right. On a fun note, look at the elephants robbing the orange truck here. Let's go to Africa, where the truck breaks down. The orange truck, here come the elephants. I'm going to do it. And just putting it in there and just going to town. And, we got free oranges here? It's like Homer Simpson, the episode where the beer truck spills over.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look at this. Like, what are you going to do about it, buddy? And they're bringing their friends in. Come on, we got free oranges. Let's go. And you're just coming in with the trunk. And it's like an open buffet.
Of course.
It's a dream scenario where the truck's broken down. It's going to take a while. And it's just filled with oranges.
It's a broken ice cream machine right now.
Right.
What are you going to do about it? Come on,
right.
we need some help here.
Yeah, and look at the elephants coming in and going to town with the free snack. Let's go to Brazil. Mitch isn't familiar with the movies. This is a Star Wars float. What are these? The Imperial March? What do they call these things? But you look at these, how they set up the droids and the float with the different... what do you call it?
I have no help here.
Yeah.
I don't even know what
I think
I'm
it's an
looking at.
Imperial Marcher, what they call it. It's Empire Strikes Back, when they have the battle in the snow on Hoth and stuff. But this is phenomenal with how they do this with all the different types of things you have with the machines and the gadgets and the droids in Star Wars. That is an incredible all-time A+ float in Brazil that they had when they did this. That's nuts.
That is very impressive.
Yeah.
If you did not tell me that it's a Star Wars float, I would have no idea.
Yeah. But the big guy right there in the front is from Empire Strikes Back.
All right.
They lose some. The Portland Trail Blazers lost by 62 to OKC. 5th worst loss in NBA history. In 2021, Memphis won by 73. Unbelievable.
Wow.
The Knicks +1 went off a 5-point favorite. No Luka. They were down big and lost to Dallas. The Celtics from 6 down to 2. Celtics taking money nonstop. Bucks up. The TNT had to leave the game.
They did. And I bet the Celtics in play second quarter. Was that a winner? Should I go back and look and see if that one's greater to winner for me today?
Oh, boy. And then Mazzulla didn't even bother in the second half. He sat everybody.
No, he just said, guys, this is ridiculous. Remember last year, Pauly? This is the definition of an NBA schedule spot.
Yeah.
In fact, Tom Habester wrote about it today in a Substack. He said that more games like this are coming.
Oh, boy.
So if you pay attention to the schedule, this happened to the Bucks last year where they had a crazy road trip. They played the Pacers on a Wednesday on the road. The next night they played the Celtics, who were totally rested, back in Milwaukee. They got beat by 40.
Yeah.
It's just like the NBA with these schedule spots.
Stupid.
It's ridiculous.
You're playing the Timberwolves. The game goes to overtime, and now you have to put this big game on national TV, and the best team in the league, has nothing in the tank. If you're looking for a betting edge through the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl, we have you covered. Become a subscriber today. See all the videos, the betting splits, and the best bet leaderboard to see who has the hot hand. You get your first 30 days for only $9.99. Step up your game. VSiN.com/subscribe. Sign up now. Excellent job, guys. There you go. Antonio Pierce scheduled to have an interview with the Tennessee Titans. Okay. Looking at some of his options. Not so fast, my friend.
Right. Mike Garofalo broke the news. He also had in the tweet, while Pierce remains firmly in the mix for the Raiders job, Pierce is exploring all of his options.
Yeah, there you go. You never know.
So he's got enough meat on the bone as an interim head coach for another team like Tennessee to be interested enough to actually talk to the guy about their head. That's, well, good for him. Good for him. I wonder what the Raiders are going to do. I wonder if he knows something here. Keeping all my options open. Right? Does he think that the organization here is going to go in a different direction? The players want him, but look at the names now available.
Well, it's strange it isn't done, right? I mean, if he was the guy, what's the holdup? Mm-hmm. Everyone wants him. You saw what Adam said in Crosby.
Mm-hmm. I think the Raiders are actually being pretty smart about this.
Yeah.
Now, if they land on him and he's their guy, okay, fine. What were you going to say?
I would give Harbaugh whatever he wants. If I'm Davis.
You got to talk to Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I would talk to Vrabel.
Sure.
Would you talk to Belichick if you're the Raiders?
No. Horrible fit.
Yeah. You just
went through the Patriot way.
You did. Yep.
Didn't work out. They couldn't stand McDaniels.
Also, if I'm the Chargers, the more I think about this, do you want Belichick, 71 years old? Don't you want a younger guy who's offensive-minded to take over with Justin Herbert? They just went through this. Brandon Staley was a defensive guy, is a defensive guy. You want to do it again?
I'm not concerned about the defense, the age maybe. I guess you could say the same thing in Atlanta. How would it play with a young team and a guy 71? Who knows? I don't know. To me, it's just you would think you'd have the so much respect for the guy and get excited. It's like we're getting the greatest coach of all time. We had a joke schedule, and we couldn't even have a winning record. You're going from Art Smith to Belichick. I mean, I'm running through a wall if I'm a player. I'm so excited.
Now, is McDaniels the OC?
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Does that happen?
Well.
There was one report out there yesterday. I don't know how true this was, but it suggested that Tennessee was going to talk to Josh McDaniels as well.
I saw that. That is outrageous.
I don't know.
That is absolutely outrageous. I hope that's not true. It can't be true.
I won't buy into
that. He can't coach again. He cannot get a head coaching job again.
No.
It's been a disaster at 2 stops.
Yeah, that's enough.
Maybe Irsay knew something. Remember, he was going to be the coach of the Colts. And McDaniel's wife came out and said, the guy went in the bathroom for half an hour. It freaked us out. Maybe it was intentional. I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
blame
he had
him.
a party by himself, or I don't blame him. But that turned out to be the best thing. Irsay taking his time in the bathroom scared McDaniels and spooked him.
Uh-huh.
So
probably best thing for both parties.
Uh-huh, right. Who knows? You never know with the owners. These guys are so, eccentric and weird. I mean, it goes back to like Andy Reid. I think on his job interview with the Eagles, he ordered 2 steaks. To me, I'd be freaked out. It's like, God, this guy could drop dead. He's doing this. It's,
Well,
we know one guy who had a job interview and drank 4 beers.
Yeah. Would you want to
lunch?
work?
I mean,
would you want to work for David Tepper throwing drinks on fans?
That's right. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
All right, up next, In Pocket Plays, and which team could be haunted by special teams this weekend? Oh, we have plenty of candidates. We'll tell you who next here on VSiN.
Was on coke if his girlfriend was not.
These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children's children on these games.
I was so good that whenever I bet, I could change the odds for every bookmaker in the country.
Super wild card weekend, 2 weather games. 2 of them could be all-timers. This is going to be phenomenal this weekend. Kansas City has held 13 opponents to 20 points or fewer. Miami 2-12 straight up, last 14 as a road dog. You know they can't win a game when it's cold. How about 30 below? How about that, huh? And then the Howard, Van Ginkel, Chubb, Phillips, Baker, good, out. We don't know about Mostert and Waddle. Oh, they should be back. And now we'll see if the Chiefs can finally do enough on offense here and get it done. Led by the defense, so it's only given up 17 points per game. Chiefs laying 3.5, it's up to 4.5. Browns money line $1.45. Concerns about the defense, no doubt. And the turnovers. Most turnovers in the league. But we'll try to get there with the Browns. And Flacco is hot. Going back 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns in the last 4 games. A prop. Hill-Lamb combo. To have 250-plus receiving yards, that's 3-1. Lamb is going to have a ton of yards by himself against Green Bay. Steelers plus 10 against the Bills. 40 to 60 mile per hour gusts. Foot of snow. Even without Watt. Buffalo has failed to cover double digits 8 in a row. No walk-off win. Minus $2. Every team to score a touchdown. Plus 150. You can also bet will every team score 10 points. That's plus money as well. A parlay. No defensive special teams touchdown parlay. The Green Bay Dallas game and the Detroit Rams game pays about $1.20. Shop around, you can find as low as probably $2.60, $2.50 on that as well. There you go. Let's go.
All right, penny for me. We have a couple of common plays this week. I also bet the Chiefs earlier, minus 3.5. Again, they're now saying winds up to 30 miles an hour in this game. I'm more concerned about, well, everything on top of what you just said about the Dolphins. Their struggle is going to be cold for them. I'm more concerned about the injuries on top of everything else.
Sure.
And Josh Allen, this is becoming, I'm going to shop around and see if I can put some more on this one today. Josh Allen over 8.5 rushing attempts, even money. He's been running the ball a lot more lately. That's design, by the way.
Sure.
In fact, the designed runs have gone up a lot the last 2 weeks. They stopped that. They didn't want to do that early in the season. They were trying to save him. Well, here we are. And if we really get those bad conditions, I like it even more. Here's what I've added. Here's another common play. Steelers plus the 10 against the Bills. Why have we gotten to this point, Pauly, with this kind of weather and the total all the way down to 35, and yet this point spread keeps going up?
I know. And you never see this either in a playoff game. For a total to be that low, and that's the point spread. This rarely happens.
I'll throw this out there. It has nothing to do with this game, but I'll bring it up anyway. Remember last year in the snow, Bills against the Bengals? Which team looked like they didn't want to be there?
Yeah, no doubt. It's wild. Buffalo's at a disadvantage because of where they play. Bills are better off playing on the road.
Yeah.
They're a bad cold weather team.
And I have to bet this one on principle at the number where it's at right now. I think it's too short. Cowboys-Packers, to me, has all the makings of a shootout. I was going to go Dallas here. Adam talked me off the ledge. He's right. But when I told myself 2 weeks ago, I'm said on the air, how can you possibly back Dan Campbell or Mike McCarthy in a playoff game? Well, okay. I'm glad that we talked that one out. Hash it over. I'm not going to bet the Cowboys minus 7, but I will bet the over in the game 50.5. Green Bay's defense, you can't ignore it. It's terrible. And the way Jordan Love is playing, too, I think both offenses have a chance here to go and play really well in this game. I'll take it with a lot of points to go over 50.5 here.
Safe to say they move on from Alexander. Hurt his ankle in practice. It's always something with this guy.
Yeah, it has been for weeks now.
DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. Madness. Plethora of props, so much stuff up there. We went over most rushing, receiving, and passing earlier. More props coming up. Bet $5 in any game. Get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code VEGAS. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Code VEGAS. The crown is yours.
The Westgate just ticked down to 34.5 for the total in the Steelers-Bills game.
Yeah. Evan Abrams. Should be lower. Lowest playoff totals with double-digit spreads the last 35 years. Steelers-Bills, which is now down to 34.5. In 1998, Tampa at Green Bay, 38. Carolina at Green Bay in 1997. I think the Packers won, they didn't cover. 38. Pittsburgh at Denver, 1990. 38.
You know, there's also this factor which special teams unit could come back and haunt some of these teams this weekend? Well, when you go look at the DVOA numbers, and we talk about this every year during the playoffs, if you are ranked dead last in DVOA, you're not winning the Super Bowl, and odds are you're not going to go to the Super Bowl. Like, it's never happened in the history of DVOA. And in fact, if you rank 31st, I believe, I'll have to go back and double check, but I believe the same goes for 31st overall. The Rams are ranked dead last DVOA in special teams on the year.
Yep.
They're 32nd. The Packers are 31st. Which kicker here, Maher or Carlson, will have a big opportunity in one of these games this weekend or beyond, and you're like, I have no faith in the guy? Could be both.
I know. Very concerned about Maher.
Another one.
I'm also concerned about the Packers' punt coverage, punting in general. You have to. I mean, Aubrey's been one of the best kickers in NFL history.
Right.
The guy didn't miss a kick he missed two, but one was blocked against Washington. Aubrey's been historic. Is what he's done.
Yeah, look at the edge that the Cowboys have this week. He's 36 of 38. Aubrey is. And extra points, 49 of 52 on the year. He's 10 of 10 from 50 plus. Mm-hmm. Carlson, meanwhile, for the Packers, he's missed 6 field goals. Okay, 27 to 33. He's also missed 5 extra points, 34 of 39. He's shaky every time.
Well,
like, even if it goes in, I'm like, that thing barely got in there.
Well, number one, we're not talking about him because they're off. I'm very concerned about Moody.
That's the guy I was going to bring up. They're 25th overall in DVOA.
He was terrible last week against the Rams. I don't trust him outside of 40 yards. Also, it's interesting we bring this up now because in the first meeting with the Browns and the Texans, that's when Hopkins got hurt and they had to go for 2 and couldn't kick field goals.
Right.
I guess Njoku was begging to kick and Stefanski wouldn't allow it. But maybe Riley Patterson bleeps the bed. That could happen.
Sure could.
That could be a concern as well.
Yep.
So there's special teams will decide a game.
Other teams and where they rank playing this weekend. Miami is 22nd overall, special teams on DVOA. Pittsburgh's 20th. The Lions are 19th, and the Buccaneers Monday night are 18th. Funny enough, the Eagles, their opponent Monday night, Eagles are best overall. They're number 1 in the league, DVOA with special teams. So I'm just saying, I mean, I keep bringing this game up as an example because I think it's the latest one that we have to go on. The Packers had home field in another game that had really cold conditions against the 49ers a couple of years ago in Jimmy Garoppolo. They had Mason Crosby as a kicker. They were ranked dead last in DVOA, and they got everybody back. I know defense that year was also a question for them, but they got everybody back for that game. That defensive unit played out of their minds in that game, and I firmly believe that team was going to win the Super Bowl that year if they had better special teams. How they lose that game? Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners did absolutely nothing on offense for the entire 60 minutes. It's because of a blocked punt and another bad incident on special teams. I think it was the field goal unit for Green Bay. They blew the game. Uh-huh. The only reason why they lost that game at home to San Francisco was the special teams terrible. And they were going to get the Rams at home, a team that they defeated earlier that year. So you can't win the Super Bowl if you have that bad of a special teams unit. Sanders, by the way, Miami, he missed 4 field goals. He only missed 1 extra point. He was 58 of 59. And he was 5 of 7 from 50 plus. Hopkins 8 of 8 from 50 plus.
Butker, he's got a huge leg, and he had a great season too. But he was a little shaky last year.
Yeah.
But that's a guy you can trust from 50 out, no problem as well, which could decide the game Saturday night. Both guys have huge legs. Bass and Boswell are mixed bags.
Yep.
But that's how do you kick? You might not be able to kick. And again, pound that prop if you see it, and tweet us. Send it in. Longest field goal under in the Buffalo game. You cannot try anything from distance if it's going to be hot with the wind.
Well,
can't be. It goes back to the Monday night when they played the Patriots and you couldn't throw. You can't kick a field goal. It's going to go like there was one game we were watching in Buffalo. It went wide left and wide right on the same kick.
Right.
I mean, the longest field goal under, made field goal.
I can't get right now. All I can think about is Vinatieri winning that game against the Raiders.
Well, how about Tennessee? That was like a rock they sent the ball.
Oh, yeah, that's
the Tennessee game was colder.
Don't you think that the game is going to be like a rock in Arrowhead tomorrow night?
Right.
How is it not? If they're
I think Vinatieri's kick was almost 52 against Tennessee, the one he made.
So they're calling for right around 30 below wind chill, and they're saying 30 mile an hour gusts potentially tomorrow night, if that's the combo. You're going to kick a 47-yarder in those conditions?
Check in on Dad, too. Remember, it's on Peacock. You don't want to get the phone calls and texts, where's the game? from dad or family members.
Search Follow the Money wherever you get your podcast. Today's show was really good. Enjoy the weekend.